reason why you should pass away. You're just there, and that's it. The Sopranos says that. Now listen to this one. So then the said front, he said, "Koshkein ladivri ha'omer." How much more so? He said to those who say that Eliyahu Hanovi is Pinchas. Now this is the first time we come across that actual statement. There are some people who hold that Eliyahu and Pinchas are the same person. He says, "Who are dying chai v'kayam." He said, according to their opinion, then Pinchas is still alive. He's still dying chai v'kayam. That's what they are. The support. No, who are dying chai v'kayam. Yeah, what's the pshat? I mean, that's b'derech pshat. He says in several occasions he's only saying the inyanim pirushim. They're b'derech pshat. So that's now we move over to the Balaturim. I want to quote now a Balaturim, which everybody knows that the Balaturim was the son of the Rosh. He was the Rabbeinu Yankee Balaturim, the one that wrote the Baturim on that they were like the forerunner of the Shulchan Aruch. If you guys, you're on your day, you know what the Baturim is. The Bal Baturim, he's called the Balaturim. And he wrote this whole Pirush in 2 nights, they say. In 2 nights he wrote the whole thing to show his father that he learns Chumash. Because his father had a complaint to him that I never see you learning Chumash. You're always learning all the Poskim and the Gemara and all the Rishonim and everything. So I never see you learning Chumash. So I said, I'll show you over that I do learn Chumash. And he wrote this whole Pirush. I say he wrote it in 2 nights. That's what they claim. Anyway, so comes along the Balaturim, and he brings, it's well known that the word shalom, hineni noisen loyas brisi shalom, is written with a vov katia, with a kat vov. That the Sofrim have to write the vov like it's in 2 pieces. It's not a full letter. It's like divided into 2 halves. It's called a vov katia. That's how you have to write it in the Sefer Torah. So, he learns in that certain Pirushim B'derech HaRemez, he learns like 2 Yudin. It's like 2 Yudin. That's the sign altogether. The Kohenim are going to get 20 different matones and 20 different things we have to give the Kohenim, Truma and all those in Yonim and plus the 3 matonah laments, plus other things. And he said altogether they're 24. And there's some other rumors he gets for the 4, and for that he gets 24. But he said that it's like 2 Yudin. Then he goes on and he said, it's really a Vov, but it's a complaining Vov. The Vov complains about itself that it's not able to be complete. It's like divided into 2 pieces. And he says, why is that? This is a well-known medrash. There's a well-known medrash that says that in 5 places it's written Eliyahu Hanovi, his name without a Vov. Eliyahu, without the Vov at the end. 5 places. It's written. And by Yankiv, it's written 5 places where the name Yankiv is full mit a Vov. Yankiv can be written without a Vov. In 5 places, it's written with a Vov. Between the Yaakov, between the Kuf and the base, there's a Vov. Yaakov. It's a 5 times. So it's written that Yankiv took this. He took this, as it were, he borrowed these 5 Vovs from Eliyahu. Why did he take them? He's taking them as a, how do you call it, a collateral. What do you call a collateral? A pledge. Like he's taking like a pledge from Eliyahu Hanovi that he will come and be Mavasa the Gula to the Jewish people. And if he doesn't come, he won't give him back the Vov. That's a mishkaf. Yaakov is going to give him back the Vov. But if he comes in Mavasa, the Jewish people, about the Geula, then he'll give him back the Vov. And then Eliyahu will be complete with the Vov at the end. As they bring what do you call it? So he says that that's the Indian of the Vov will be complete when it's added to Eliyahu's name. Yeah, but boy, Melech HaMashiach. At the moment that Melech HaMashiach will come, and he said that's what's written in the pasuk. Yogil Yankov Yishmach Yisrael. There's a pasuk in Tehillim that Yankov's going to be happy, and Yisrael is going to be more. That's the 2 names for Yeah, why is he going to be so happy? Because Mashiach will come and he'll be able to give back the Vav. That's what it is. He'll be able to give back the Vav to Eliyahu Hanavi. And then he says that the word Shalom is Begimatria Zehu Moshiach. Zehu Moshiach. And the whole meaning why that Vav is cut in half is to show that the Vav is also impatient and it's not complete in itself, it's waiting to its completion. It'll be only completed when Yaakov will give it back to Eliyahu Hanavi. That's it. That's it. Learned the Baraturim. And when's he going to give it back? When Moshiach will come. And Shalom is Zehu Mashiach. The Gematria, Britzi Shalom is Zehu HaMashiach. That's it. That's it. The Baraturim. So that tends to indicate in Cain that there's some very close relationship between the Geula Shlema and Eliyahu Hanavi. So what's this business with Eliyahu Hanavi? So he begins by saying that Pinchas hu Eliyahu. Now he's the first one to really say it just with a pastor. Pinchas is Eliyahu Hanavi. And he says like this, that Pinchas became a malach, like the Targum Yonason says, and he became Eliyahu Hanavi. He's Mamash Eliyahu Hanavi, and they sort of joined together, and they became like one, as it were, person, Kaviochel, as it were. And therefore, just like Eliyahu Hanavi went up to heaven in fire, and he's really still there. So Pinchas is also, they joined together, and like they're like one personage for all history, and therefore Pinchas is a malach kayam. Oh, Derech, some people say that one of the proofs of that is it's written over there in Shoftim that they called Pinchas. They asked him to come and paskin in this whole mice that happened. It's written that he came, Baponov meirim kelapidos kamalach elakim. I say that when Pinchas came, his face was shining, and they all said he looks like a malach elakim, a malach of the Eibush. That's one of the proofs that they bring for this whole in. So the plot is thickening. That now we've got a case based on the beginning is the Targum Yonason. Then we move through the Pshat of the Sopono. We come into the Remes and the Drus of the Balaturim, and we come up with this concept that Pinchas and Eliyahu Hanavi are the same person. Now this becomes very fascinating. That there's a Gemara in Masechet Bava Metzia right near the end of the Masechet. It's written that there was a question in the Beis HaMedrash about a certain din. I won't go into all the, in order not to, even though there's certain Pirushim in the Gemara though, they learned that that's got to do with this whole thing. But anyway, we'll leave that. So they weren't sure about how to paskin. So it's written that Rabbi Ba'avua, that was the name of this Amoira, he all of a sudden found Eliyahu Hanavi b'beis hakvarim. Inside a cemetery, he met up with Eliyahu Hanavi. They say to the Gemara. So this, he must have been quite a guy, this Rabbi Ba'avua. He just met up with Eliyahu Hanavi. Shalom Aleichem. He must have been quite a guy. They meet up with Eliyahu Hanavi, and he says to them, listen, we've got this problem in the Beis HaMedrash. How do you paskin this and this halacha? And then there's another halacha also that we want to ask. So Eliyahu Hanavi said that kach v'kach, he paskined him. He said you should do this way and this way. And they stayed there. And all of a sudden, Rabbi Ba'avua says to him, he said, wait a minute. He said, what are you doing in the Beis HaKvarim? He said, aren't you a Kohen? That's what he asks Eliyahu Hanavi. I thought you were a Kohen. Lav Kohen Huma? I say, he states that in the Gemara. So it's an amazing thing. Eliyahu Hanavi said to him, listen, he said, this happens to be a Goysha based quarters. It's not a Jewish based quarters. And he said, I hold what the Rashbi holds, that the Kivrei Okum are not Metame Bo'oyo. I haven't actually touched them, so the only tumah could be Tumas Oyo. I passed it according to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Therefore I can be in the basic quarters. He said, what, you didn't know that halacha? So he said to him, listen, I've been so busy learning how to Sidorim, and I never got round to learning a particular locha. And it's a whole amazing business. Him came early on, obviously, him came come with me to Gan Eden for a while, and they went out together. A whole amazing business. He came back down into the world. Yeah, it's a whole amazing story over there. Anyway, we see from that he said to him, "Love Kohen Huma." So Rashi brings over there, what's it? How come Eliyahu is a Kohen? Who said Eliyahu is a Kohen? So Rashi says, yeah, Lefi Eila Hasoivrim Shepinchas Eliyahu. I say it's not Rashi. Rashi, like Gemara, says that whole thing is based on the shitta of those all the Pinchas Eliyahu. And Pinchas and Eliyahu are the same person. And therefore he said, Pinchas is a Kohen. As if you're Eliyahu, then you're a Kohen. Love Kohen Huma. You're not a Kohen. And Tosfos brings it down. Tosfos also brings it down. And Tosfos remarks on it, a very amazing a business over there. There's a big long Tosfos and then there's a short Tosfos. And Tosfos brings down a very amazing story over there. Imam actually tells the story. He mentions it. And you know that Rabbi Akiva was killed by the Goyim. You know that he was one son killed by the Goyim. So it's written that who buried Rabbi Akiva was Eliyahu Hanavi. They brought him a Yalkut Shimoni on Mishle. That how do you call him? Eliyahu Hanavi. So the Gemara brings that Eliyahu Hanavi and the Talmud of Rabbi Akiva would be Mashamashim the whole time. Used to bring him food and put it through the bars to him and bring look after him when he was in the prison. They heard that Rabbi Akiva's body had been brought back to the prison and thrown into the prison, and so the Talmud, he didn't know that. Eliyahu Hanavi told him. And he said, "Come on, we're going to go bury Rabbi Akiva." So the Talmud wasn't sure of himself here. He was speaking to us what to do in such a situation. So Tosfos said, "Why?" Because it was the Romans that killed Rabbi Akiva, and they were very, very angry. So he hesitated. If they go and bury, they might get into trouble also. They might also be killed. So therefore, Eliyahu Hanavi, he was the one who did the Iker. Some of the Meforshim and everything. And also it's Mashma and Tosfos. Anyway, whatever. So it's written that amazing thing that Eliyahu Hanavi goes into the prison, he gets through the door and everything, and he picks up the body of Rabbi Akiva and carries it with him, and puts it over his shoulder and carries it with him. And the Talmud of Rabbi Akiva is walking with him. All of a sudden they're walking along the way. All of a sudden the Talmud says to him, "Lav Kohen Huma, you're not a Kohen. What are you doing carrying Rabbi Akiva?" So it's written an amazing thing. He said, "Tzadikim." That's what he says to him. Tzadikim loy metamin. He said, "Ani knows a tzadik likvurose." He said, "But tzadikim are not metamin." Now this is a basis for some people who hold that kohenim can go to the kivrei tzadikim. However, it's not 100% a waterproof brook. I'll soon tell you why. So he says to him, he's a tzaddik ain't metamin. So he said, "Okay, wow, this is gewaldig, you know." So they get and they buried Rabbi Akiva. So then Tosfos says, but that was only a way of pushing off the kasha. He didn't want to get into the whole thing. And he just said that the tzaddikim are not matama in order to sort of push him away for the moment. But the real time was because since people were scared to bury Rabbi Akiva because they were worried about being killed by the Romans, then it was what I call a mace mitzvah. Have you ever heard what a mace mitzvah? Then Rabbi Akiva was like a mace mitzvah. And therefore Eliyahu Hanavi felt that he could do it, even though he was a kohen. And he didn't want to go into that whole arena, therefore he just said he's a tzaddik. So Tosfos learns that proof is not waterproof, because as they learned the Tosfos. But then Tosfos asked another question, and it really gets very amazing. It really is. Tosfos says, wait a minute, there's a story about how Eliyahu Hanavi brought back a certain woman that was very helpful to him. She had a son and he died, and now Eliyahu Hanavi brought the son back to life. And it's written that he went into the room and he carried the boy up to the cellar at the top of the house, and he put him down on the bed, and then he laid on top of him. Oh, very nice. He laid on top of him and brought him back to life. So Tosfos said, how can he do that? He's a kohen. You can't lay on top of him. So Tisa says that he knew for sure that he was going to be able to bring him back to life. And Vipara was Pikuach Nefesh. It doesn't matter. So there's a very amazing, I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but there's a very amazing pilpul that develops around that Teisves, that some people learn what is the whole idea of Pikuach Nefesh. In other words, is Pikuach Nefesh that you don't know if you're going to save the person, but you've got to do everything you have to do because it's a doubt. We don't know what we're doing, but we see a danger of life, we see somebody's in a danger of losing his life, we've got to do everything we can to prevent that. We don't know if we're going to be successful or not, but that's what we've got to do. That's our job. Well, some people learn that if you know for sure that you're going to save that person, you do it after show. Don't do it now. That's not Pekuach Nefesh. As if they learn a kasha on Teisves, that Teisves, that's called Pekuach Nefesh. So they say it's not Pekuach Nefesh. They say it's not Pekuach Nefesh. There's a famous tshuva of one of the great Achronim, and he's mefalpel in the whole thing, a tremendous filpul. But this, anyway, the plot gets thicker. The Leon always a kohen. Leon is a kohen. Now, come along certain great people, and they want to say, take it easy a bit. He's not mamish a kohen, but he and Pinchas, their shurish nishomas are sort of linked together. That's why we say Pinchas Eliyahu. But not we mean that the actual goof of Eliyahu is the goof of Pinchas. It's like the neshomas are sort of joined together and linked together through a very great linkage, which we call ibur. And that's what caused both of them to be like everlasting living. Eliyahu, we just went straight up to heaven, he didn't really die. And Pinchas, according to the Sapona, if we hold that he's Eliyahu, meaning that he's got this kesher with the neshama, then he never died either. It doesn't actually mean that Eliyahu is mamish hakohen. I had to say, why did he admit to being a kohen? It's very complex, because he didn't say, listen, I'm not a kohen. It's very amazing. It's very, very complex, this whole sugya in Bava Batia, and this whole difference of opinion amongst the great Meforshim. Anyway, one of the great Meforshim comes to that conclusion. There's a whole business that he had to bring the child back to life, otherwise it would have been a chil Hashem. People would have thought that he'd had relations with the woman and Hashem had punished him, and it would have been a chil Hashem, and everything. So he had to bring the boy back to life, and a big long discussion. Anyway, Pinchas Eliyahu, whatever will be the pshat, whatever is the Indian, Pinchas and Eliyahu are somehow essentially linked together, and they're both permanently alive. They both just live on Chai V'Kayom, and that's L'divrei Sapona, where these are B'derech HaPshat, and the Balaturim, V'oid, but they learn Pinchas Eliyahu. Now, V'amira, that's a very amazing concept, this whole fascinating concept of what does that mean. However, we've got to work out, how did he come to all this Pinchas? How was he zeicher to this whole unbelievable thing? Is that he was vengeful for the Eibusha. He was makaneh, he was zealous for the Eibusha, but he did it b'toichom, he did it within the Jewish people, and then he finishes by saying v'chiper vayichaper al b'nai Yisrael. He was machaper on the Jewish people. So, what is the union b'zeh? It's all very well to be a zealot. It's all very well to be tremendously sharp and to be tremendously vengeance for the Eivish's name and everything, but you've got to mean to bring chesed and ava to Yidden into the world through that. You can't just be a zealot and a harikot. And that's why we find there's a sikha from the Rebbe in Chelik Yud Ches, where the Rebbe connects the Friedricher Rebbe and Pinchas. And the Friedricher Rebbe said about himself that he was born, Yud Beis Tammuz, that year that he was born was in the Pasha of Pinchas. That was his birthday, Yud Beis Tammuz. And the Friedricher Rebbe said that everything that happened to Pinchas happened to me. The Rebbe brings it down in the Sikha. Everything up to brings up to me, and we see that the Friedrich Rebbe went into Sakonis Nefoshes. He went into the Spalerki, where that was a place. It was a factory for killing off people or sending them to Siberia. Nobody ever came out of this. The Friedrich Rebbe went in with the whole in. He was gave away his life. What was the whole purpose? The whole purpose was Kinnis Hashem Tzvoi, in order to be become for in the Kola communism with the whole Maisa, the name of Hashem. Why did he do it? Out of Avos Yisrael. The whole thing was based on the unlimited Avos Yisrael of the Friedrich Rebbe. His love for every Yid and his desire that it should be good in Ruchnias and ultimately in Gashmias for all Yidden, Ad Sof Kol Aderes, Ad Bias Moshe take of me Ad Mamish. That was the union of the Friedrich Rebbe. So the Rebbe says that's the similarity also with Pinchas. That Pinchas didn't do it just stomp because he was furious at this Zimri ben Tzalot. There was what to be furious about. People were dying and the matzah was, but the main thing that Pinchas was interested in was that people were dying and that Yidden are suffering, and he's got to take action for Hashem's name, which will help the Yidden believe so. And if I'm just going to bring a brief little proof, I'm sorry we're getting a little bit long, just bring a brief little proof that this is the case. It's an open Gemara in Masechta Sanhedrin, but this is in the early part of the Masechta. So it's written a pasuk in Tehillim. It's written Vayamoy Pinchas Vayifalel. Pinchas stood up and he prayed, and then he went and killed. The pasuk in Tehillim. So the Gemara says over there it's not written Vayit Palel. It's written Vayifalel. So that's an unusual word to pray. It's the same basic root word, but if you want to say praying, you put the tof in it and you make it how do you call it, reverse it. Yitpalel means to pray. Yifalel is from the word plila. Now the word plila means a criminal court case. A court case and a judge, where judges have got to judge a court case, is called a plila, a din plili. Plila. So it's written, the Gemara says over there, that Pinchas, what did Pinchas do? Yamid Pinchas Yifalel, also plila im elokov im kucha blilo. He made literally a court case with the Evish. And he said to the Evish, listen, he said, because of these two people, you've already killed 24,000 of my people. He said, enough. Genuch, as they stated in the Gemara, that he made a court case for there. Yifalel meloshem plila, the palil im kucha blilo. He made a record also plilis in Makodesh Baruch, and he said, enough, Genuch, Rabbeinu Shalom. And it's written that the Gemara says immediately the whole thing stopped. Immediately. As soon as Peter said that, stop. The whole Mageva finished, and does it. And that's what it means, be a chaper or b'nei Yisrael. In other words, that Pinchas' whole union was to get to that point. He wanted to get to that point. He had to take away the festering sore. And then he got to the point, but he said, listen, enough. He said, the Yidden are dying. He said, 24,000 not enough. Well, he stated that in the Gemara. That's what he said, Kavyoho. Yeah, to HaKadosh Baruch. He chaper or b'nei Yisrael. The Chanana is kinosi, but say home. That's the whole Ike. The whole Ike is that Pinchas did it for the sake of Avos Yisrael. His zealotry wasn't just an anger or a zealotry, or just even for the sake of the Eibush. It was for the sake of the Eibush to be Ike, to save the Jewish people and to show his love and his unlimited love for the Jewish people. That was the whole. And that's what the Rebbe says about the Friedrich Rebbe. That's why he's daimon to Pinchas. And he brings our gematria from the Zohar Kodesh, that the name Yitzchok was the second name of the Friedrich Rebbe, and Yitzchok is the gematria Pinchas. The Rebbe goes into to show that there's a similarity between them. So I saw in the Sefer, in the Sefer in the Rebbe Yitzchok Baditchua, the Kedushas Levi, he brings over there. Why do we say that? And he brings over the Lashon Chai V'Kayim. He also brings it. He said, Pinchas hu Chai V'Kayim b'Pashas. He does a Pinchas is everlasting and alive. That's what he says. And he said, for words, why is he everlasting and alive? There's something similar to what the Sapponim, but he develops on it much more. And he said that Pinchas made peace all over. And that's why the Abishai gave him his covenant of peace. First of all, he made peace. He said, generally speaking, all of us suffer from a duality. We have a neshama, and our neshama wants good things, and we even do good things because of our neshama. But our body says, oh, wait a minute, the goof would like to do its bit. And every now and we give in to our bodies, we do our bit according to our body. We give in and we do, and I do this and this. He said, a person like Pinchas, even his body served Hashem in every moment. And therefore nobody suspected Pinchas that he did the wrong thing after it was already done. But Shas Meiser, they thought, wait a minute, that's a little bit too much. Oh, but after it had already been seen what was going on, then everybody felt that he'd done the right thing. And he said the other part of the Sholem that he bought is Sholem al Bnei Yisrael. He bought the Sholem and the peace for the Yidden, between the Eibush and the Yidden. And he said that's another form of devotion in life, of detachment from self-interestedness and from bodily purposes, is to be worried about the other person, to be worried about other people. And if you're worried about other people, then you're machafer for the whole Klalli Yisrael. You bring chasodim. And he finishes the Erikon, the Levites, but he finishes with saying that Afshu Asa Gvura Godel Heivi Chasodim Gedolim Ba'el. I say that's what he brings out there, and that's the pshat v'chaper Bnei Yisrael, the atone for the Jewish people. Okay? So I'm going to finish now with an amazing thing. This is, in my opinion, a very amazing thing. That's how we'll complete the Shiur. Just to show you how great is the mitzvah of Ahavas Yisrael. And they quote from the Rebbe Levi Yitzchak Badishva a similar thing, but it's a bit more sort of composite. So just for what I quoted from him, just it'll be enough for the moment. But there's a very famous story about a person who became a Talmud of the Mezritcha Magid, Le'ezik Nusa, when the Magid was already Azokin, not long before his Petira. And he was a very great person called the Rav Moshe Leib Sasova. I think you may have heard of it, Rav Moshe Leib Misasov. He was a great tzaddik, and he was a Talmud, a certain of the Talmidim of the Magid. But he eventually made contact also with the Magid himself. So how did it all happen? How did it start? He was once in a shul where the Rebbe Levi Yitzchak Badishva was davening. And they said that the davening of the Rebbe Levi Yitzchak Badishva, anybody saw it, he couldn't ever forget it. He davened with the Zah, his flowers, and the Zah, Peren, and such. People just left, mind-boggled when they saw it, how he davened. So he saw this davening from the Badishva, and he said he would like to learn how to daven like that. So he went up to the Badishva and he asked him, would he teach him how to daven? Even though his davening was also, believe me, what did he teach him? So the Badishva said it was near, he said, all that I do and everything I know, it's all from my teacher, it's all from the Magid. So you have to go and ask the Magid. So he said, okay, I am going, and Dad picked up his bags, a cloud of dust, and he's on his way to the Magid. So he gets to the Magid's already Kavyoho, as much you can say, he's already elderly, it was a bit hard, so he couldn't get in immediately to see the Magid, but eventually got in. And the Magid looked up at him and he said, what is it you can see that you, he said, what is it you want? So he said, listen, he said, I want you to teach me how you taught Rav Levi Yitzchak, but teach you to daven. He said, I would also like to daven the same way. So the Magid said to him, listen, he said, I'm already not young anymore. He said, to teach you how I taught the Badishva to daven, he said, I haven't got the courage anymore right now to do that. I can't help you with that one. He said, that's really, that's an impossible task. He said, I'm gonna tell you something now. If you will listen carefully to what I say, then eventually you might be able to come to it. So listen carefully. So he said, what? He said, I'm going to tell you a story. So what's the story? The story's got a mocker in the Yerushalmi, but in the Yerushalmi it's different. There's a special twist to the story. There were two loving friends, two friends that were very devoted, one to the other. One of them became a big promotion. He got a big promotion, and he became a leading member of the king's, like court, they call it the king's tevet, the people who do the things for the king. and he had a lot of pull. And the other very good friend, he became Oni. He had problems, and he became a pauper. But it comes a day, and the one who's already in the king's court, he calls the poor one. He says, "You come over to the city, the capital city, and I'll try and help you. I'll look after you. I've already got a lot of pull for the king and those things, so I'll help you." So he comes to the Oni, but he gets there late at night, and they'd already closed the city up, and he couldn't get into the city at night, and he sort of camped somewhere outside the city. And that night there was a big Geneva in the Oiterus, that he called the store chambers of the king. Some gunner got in or something and stole a lot of stuff. So people went all crazy and they're looking for the thing. All of a sudden they find a guy outside the city, but they don't know who he is, McLeod. So they decided that he's this poor fellow. All of a sudden they decided that he's the gunner. They take him in and they give him a sort of a trial, and they're going to hang him in the main square because he's the thief. The poor guy just, I don't I never told him, you can search all my thing. No, you've hidden it somewhere, you're the thief. Okay. So he says, listen, he said, just give me a month to get myself together, and then I'll come back and you can hang me. Just give me a month to get myself together. They said, "You crazy?" What's that? So the other friend, his friend, he comes along and he says, "No, listen, I'll be a Arev. I'll be a guarantor for him. That if he doesn't come back in a month, you hang me instead. But give him a month. But I'm a Arev for him." So the guy goes off, and this very close courtier of the king, he becomes a big queen. So it comes the day that he's supposed to come back. The time that they wanted to make the whole ceremony, Kaviochel ceremony, he didn't show up. He wasn't there. So they said, "Okay, we have to take the order." They take the king's courtier, and they took him all through the city, and people all, a big, terrible bizoyan, and they led him to the scaffold. All of a sudden, somebody comes running into the town. This is him, the other fellow. He comes running in. And he says, "Oh, I was late. I got up. I couldn't make it on time. But here I had me out to hang me." So the friend had already been taken. He was already standing on the scaffold. He said, "No, what?" He said, "They already brought me this far." And he said, "I've been through the whole night." And he said, "For your sake, they'll hang me instead." So the other fellow said, "B'shum, even." I said, "I'm the one that they passed him. They're going to hang me." So there was this huge argument between the two guys.